And welcome to LEA's Teachers to Teachers. This is a program just recently started by LEA that helps teachers and administrators get connected with each other to talk about some of the more remarkable things that have happened over the last 2 months. We've got a great group here. We have Aimee Dierks, Krista Barnhouse, Suzanne Braun, and Julian Petzold, all of them teachers and administrators in one form or the other, who are here to help us to take a look back at this past year. And I'm Dr. Kim Marxhausen. I'm just here because of my good looks, because I just got a haircut, and to ask some questions to kind of keep things going. So we're going to have 3 discussions. The first one is just a general discussion called What Happened Here, where we can kind of talk about some of the good things that have come out of the last 2 months. The second one will be a discussion about problem solving and how that's impacted the staff. And the last one is going to be a good discussion about the change in relationships with parents as roles have changed and so forth. Each one of these questions or discussion topics is really about looking what's happened over the last 2 months and looking forward to a couple months from now when we revisit this whole school on distance learning or school in the classroom or childcare under COVID restrictions happening. That is going to be our life here for a few more months. So let's start with some introductions. Aimee, why don't you start?
Okay, I'm Aimee Dierks. I'm the director of Amazing Grace Early Learning Center in Oxford, Florida. Krista, how about you?
I'm Krista Barnhouse. I am principal and head of school at Faith Lutheran School and Touching Hearts Early Childhood Center in Lincoln, Nebraska. Sorry, Suzanne, go ahead.
All right, I'm Suzanne Braun, and I am the kindergarten teacher at Christ Community Lutheran School in St. Louis. And Julian.
And Julian. I'm Julian Petzold. I'm principal at Trinity Lutheran School in Clinton Township, Michigan.
Well, we've got a great group here from early childhood, elementary, and Julian's going to be moving to high school. Is that right?
I will be. I'm going to be the executive director at Valley Lutheran High School in Saginaw, Michigan, starting in August. So I'll
Wonderful.
be moving up there. Yeah.
And my favorite characteristic, everyone has experience with early childhood. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And bringing your good early childhood mindset to a lot of other things. So let's dive in here. This year is an excellent example of how if we had a crystal ball and could look forward into our future, we would have said, nope, don't want to go there. Might have been early retirement or something from some of it. But now that we can look back a little bit and how things were handled, we can see better, I think, how God's helped us to grow. So my first question is, what ways did you and your team grow that could not have happened in any other way?
Kim, do you want somebody to just jump in and go with it? Or?
Yeah.
All right, I'll do it. I'll go for it. You know, I'll tell you that we have a really pretty innovative staff, and we like to try things, and we don't really care if we fail, and it's just a great environment. But I found that the things that have changed is the innovation that we have done to move so quickly to distance learning, and the idea that, okay, the world just changed, and no big deal. Although it is a big deal, we've just got to adjust and adapt, innovate, and figure some things out, and that's been fantastic. But I think the other thing that it caused us to do that probably we've been kind of trying to do with some things this past year was looking at our goals for our kids, and we call them power standards. We had 4 power standards. Well, we go to this distance learning environment, all of a sudden we're like, we've got to really focus what we are going to do with kids and what we aren't going to do, because you can't keep the same everything. And so we really worked hard at getting laser focused. And it's like, I don't know that we would have ever gotten that focused if we didn't have to deal with this and go this route. So that's, I think, been really powerful in our environment anyway.
I would agree. I think for my staff, we've had a lot of time to collaborate as well, even though it's virtual, and that's a whole new way of doing things. But it's a child care center that we work at, so we're open from 6:30 to 6, and we don't get a lot of time to interact other than in the break room or our once a month staff meeting. So to be able to collaborate and to do really some intentional professional development has really helped us to reflect on what we've been doing, and what we want to do in the future. And also we've gotten some more Bible studies in and devotion. So that's been, really, really good for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I think that's one of the first things that we had to address the first time that we came together after announcements and school's going to be closed and getting together with everybody, is that the spiritual growth. As educators, we kind of are control freaks sometimes. And so this kind of reminded us, yes, Kim, I am looking at, no. We're similar, I know. But it's that reminder of who ultimately is in control, and we had to kind of step back for ourselves as educators even and go, okay, we don't have control over some things. God obviously is the one who's in control of all things. So we had to look at it spiritually for ourselves a little bit, but then also now, what do we do for our students and our families? Now, how do we take this situation? We're trusting in God. We're not going to be afraid of it. How do we translate that for our students, for our families, give them that sense of comfort, that sense that we are here for you, and then collaborate and come to the realization there's not one right way of doing things. And so how did we as a staff come together, collaborate, listen to one another? Not everybody did everything exactly the same, but it was exactly what their families needed. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't know that we always get that way when we're all locked in our classrooms and you kind of get into your silos and do your thing. This caused us to have to open up and look at things a little bit differently.
Yeah, Krista, I don't want to, Suzanne, I want to let you go too, but Krista, it's been interesting because one of the things I thought about with this is how responsiveness to the needs of students and families, how much that's, because we kind of do what we do, right? And they come along and we work with them and we partner and we do ministry together. And then all of a sudden everything changes and we kind of had to really step back, and we were doing some surveys we wouldn't have done. We started off doing things a certain way and then saying, is that working for you at home? How's your home life? Is it totally crazy? And, and everything was about meeting needs, not about doing what we do. And so you're talking about that, Krista. It's like it really changed.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Suzanne. I just jumped in there.
That's okay. Well, when this all started, I was in Uganda, Africa. And so coming back and all of the things and all the details that needed to be worked out were happening while I wasn't even in the United States. So I think the thing that I noticed when I got home was there was a lot of trust that was occurring for each other's strengths. I had to let go of a whole lot of things because things were already started for me. And I realized that, wow, these people took care of all the parts. And then as it developed, then our classroom team teachers, they all worked together, and, maybe science wasn't my thing, but science was her thing. And they were able to team teach and create lessons that probably on a regular daily basis would never have happened just because of the time issue. But working together, I think, has, risen above.
Yeah,
that's quite a cultural shock to go from Uganda to come back to school, and school is completely different.
Oh, that's a whole nother option for this discussion that I won't take, but it was different, very, very different. Yeah.
Well, and I think Suzanne hit on something. Each educator in our building has different strengths and abilities and things that they're good at or that they're comfortable with. And so to see some of that collaboration that we work so hard in our classrooms to encourage amongst our students, to see that happening amongst our staff. As I had one educator who knew about Loom and was showing that to other educators to be able to videotape read alouds and to do some different things, especially for our younger ones, where doing a Zoom class for early childhood may not be the most effective way. but wanting the teachers' faces to still be there for their student. And so some of them that knew different things in technology that others weren't as familiar with, seeing that collaboration and, oh, hey, if you want to do that, maybe you want to try using this, and seeing some of those things happen that maybe wouldn't have in a regular situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a shaking up. So, I mean, people are having to use new muscles and try different things. But I'm hearing about the spiritual growth. I'm hearing about paying more attention to emotional needs, which is always important. I'm hearing about also looking at school as being meeting the needs of the students and a little bit less about making the students fit what we want to do. I like those kind of things. So I'm wondering, how much of that can you carry in back into next year when hopefully you're meeting in the classroom? And anyone can feel free to jump in.
I think I'm kind of creating that list in my head. I'm not, because I feel like, I'm still in the middle of closing off a part of a school year like none other. And so it's hard to figure out, like, I know I want to do this. I want to be more connected with children. I want to be more connected with their families. But how do I do that? I haven't processed that part yet. I'm not really sure, but I know it's important.
Yeah, Suzanne, I don't know.
Go ahead, Julian.
All right,
No,
all right.
our situation's a little different. We came back to school this week on Monday, 2 days ago. So like you said, we have all these great plans. We've been doing all this professional development. The teachers are on fire again. It's like we've had summer break. And so we get back and we're putting all these plans into place, but we're quickly seeing, oh, that's not going to work. Or, oh, the parent isn't understanding me, because the restrictions are so much right now. We can't let the parents in the building. When they used to come in and get their children settled and they used to have that time to interact and build those relationships, we're having to do it through a doorway because we can't have more than 10 kids in a room, or 10 people total in a room. So just finding out how it works when we come back, and then tweaking and adjusting and realigning. My teachers have been great, because I think since we had that time to bond and to build and to learn to trust each other and know our strengths, it's much easier now to be like, hey, what do you think about this? Talk with each other and help each other out in the situation.
Yeah, I hope that some of the collaboration and stuff that's been happening continues, and I think it will, because I think that we're maybe we joke about ourselves a little too much about change and not changing and that stuff. I think we're pretty adept. I mean, people that I know move very quickly into this distance learning and how that works and stuff. But I think the adaptiveness to the needs of students is something I really hope sticks, and I kind of think that it's gonna, because when you can't do the formative assessment that happens in a classroom where you're watching those kids and you're learning, what do I got to redo, or what's got to change, and what's it, and so you got to recreate how to do that. And I think that the whole distance learning thing is probably going to be something that a lot of places will do, and I'm going to encourage it for certain lessons every week, to be prepared to know better what to do next time in case we have something like this that spikes again or whatever. But all the learning that'll go back and forth, because one of the things I've always found interesting is what the kids say when you ask them the question. And a lot of people won't ever ask them the question, right? But when you ask the question, what do you learn and what do you find out? And that isn't a weakness, that's a strength, because that's going to just make you a better teacher. That's going to make you a better minister of the gospel. That's going to make you better at what you're doing. So I hope some of that stuff really, really kind of sticks. And then I wonder how much of the stuff that we know how to do now, we don't just do because, man, I know I got 4 kids absent today because whatever, I'm going to, here, will you just hold this and record this for me? And that way I can send this off to those kids who are there, and your life's a whole lot easier as a teacher, because you don't have to reteach or help a student during recess time, or you just recorded it and I sent that. We've done that before, Some of that stuff's gonna kind of stick around and be good. I think that'll be neat.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great start to our discussion. And so I'm looking forward to meeting back again in this format and talking about problem solving, which you've all hinted at. So I'm excited to hear some more things about that. This is LEA coming to you with Teachers to Teachers. because LEA likes nothing better than to equip teachers by connecting them to each other, because you guys are the experts in your realms. And so you're the best help for each other.